Headphones because you totally want to learn these skills. So this is a photo I took in my kitchen, and it is a full color photo, but I took it into Photoshop and I very carefully made a full range of grays. Okay, so we're going to look at two different ways that you can make a range of grays. And the first one is, and people who are at home might not have these tools. This is chalk and black paper, but I held off on this like the whole month, waiting for everybody to get through their quarantines. Okay, anytime I get a new tool, I'm gonna make a value scale, and I want to be able to go from pure white to middle gray to black. Okay. Did you notice how easy that was? This is a big, soft tool. Whenever there's full pieces of chalk, I just break them immediately, so I like the little pieces of chalk. Okay, I'm going to focus on drawing this teapot. Remember before I had you erasing away from a toned ground. So this paper is toned black, or like 95% black, okay? It's cheap construction paper. So I am going to draw, and again, knowing that some of it will be erased, and I don't want in an initial drawing to be having a big snowstorm. This is like your average kid. But I don't see anything like that in this. Okay? It's not, you guys are just like, I'm going to. And a lot of your erasing looks like that. Okay? Keep it super soft. The grays are soft. It's a dark green, not a dark green teapot, but like 60% dark. So it's going to have darker gray shadows on it because the color has a value. So I'm not super worried in a demo about 100% accuracy, because it's really hard to talk and explain what I'm doing and check all the measurements. But in my eye, I'm looking at these things being super related to each other. And then I'm looking for the triangle here and the triangle here to check my measurements on those spouts, so that my spout isn't like going off and being like a watering can for watering plants with a super long like elephant spout. Okay, so I can see that down here there's not a lot of light, but there is some compared to the black paper. So now we've been doing this a little with the eraser. I'm going to work on where's my light hitting. And you can see, like right here is a shadow. I'm just going to leave that paper black. So this is the opposite of putting shading into a drawing. And I'm going to reserve the whitest parts for where it's really white. And you can see this can go really fast. And you can like white out the whole black piece of paper if you're not careful to, and normally if I was drawing this teapot, I would actually count how many stripes to halfway and how many stripes below that. But because I'm doing a demo, because I'm demoing this, I'm just gonna wing it on the amount of stripes on the teapot, as long as we're doing that wrapping with the cross contour. And there is a little bit of reflected light down here at the bottom. And you'll see as I start to draw, I can see the corrections I need to make. So I can see as I'm drawing that I may have to go in, and the nice thing about working with chalk is it just comes right off, okay? So I may have to go in and trim things and make them lighter, and you can go back. I'm just showing you that you can go back in and you can easily, so like this is black inside the handle here, and there isn't a bright white outline on this teapot, so now I have the opportunity to do that smearing, and the way the light looks smeared, you can do that. I just used the eraser to drag it, but you can also use the stomp or the tortillon. And if I go ahead and blend this, I'm going to make a different value scale than if I keep it open and let the black breathe through. Can you see that? This is like totally different value scale. Okay, so the point of learning all these ways to draw is that eventually you'll be trying to express yourself, and you want to know, like, you know, I think the right thing for this would be a dark piece of paper with a light chalk and having the light come out of the darkness. And in other situation, you might be like, I think this is a drawing that would be best done with like a pencil on a white paper and like a really sharp pencil with really soft tones. There are times where you eventually will use all of these, and if you're drawing digitally, all the digital tools are basically approximating these same tools that we use in the real world, right? The tips in Photoshop and Procreate and stuff, all those tips are like artists, the digital designers are like using chalk and trying to figure out what would chalk look like in this application. Okay, so in this one, over here, there's barely anything. So I'm just going to try to keep it. Now, the table actually, you'll find that whenever you have light and dark, the table does some of the work. And it does some of the work in the drawing that you're doing right now. Actually, if you didn't lighten the table yet, the drawing will not look complete, because some things like the avocado look really black because the table has a lot of light on it. Okay, so you can erase all this. You can draw super light. You can use the stomp to blend. Okay. I see a correction. Whenever I'm drawing something like a teapot, I always want to cut it right down the middle with my head. I don't usually do this on my own drawing, but sometimes, and I want to make sure that this side and this side match, like that the two halves are the same. Some of you draw one half and the other half completely different, and one of the things you want to be able to internalize is making sure that these things are balanced on both sides. And that's just something that happens naturally, and you can take that back out if you need to check it. Okay, so that is white on a black ground. That's part A, okay? Now, the more sophisticated part of this, I'm going to draw this again because you're looking at it and I'm looking at it. Okay. This is more like what we just did. We made a toned ground with gray. We made a darker toned ground. This is like a 40% ground. And this gray paper, it's called bogus paper. Okay. What is something that's bogus? What does bogus mean? Does anyone know what that means? Because that's like a term. That's so bogus. What does it mean? Anyone know? What do you think, Fatima? Not good. Yes. Yes.
It's like dumb, stupid, bad.
Dumb, stupid, bad, not good. There's, yes.
Kind of corny.
Corny. Fake. So, like fake money, like Monopoly money is bogus. Yeah. So, not good, not real, not. So, this paper is bogus paper because it's not truly white paper. Okay. So, it's made with waste products from cardboard and paper. And they make this beautiful silver gray paper. I love it. Sometimes, when you order craft paper, which is pure brown, unbleached wood paper, paper bag colored paper, you can't really see it in there, you can see the difference. Sometimes when you are looking for craft paper, it's under bogus paper because it's unbleached. Unbleached. I love the bogus paper. The color pencil and the oil pastel work really well on gray paper and on brown paper. So the colored drawing papers, the toned grounds, are really useful. Okay, so I'm going to draw that same teapot again, but this time because this is a learning drawing, I really encourage you to make a value scale. But this value scale is going to change. And this gray is going to be in the middle. These two don't really meet. I'll show you what happens. I personally like the empty space of the paper as that 40% gray. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead because I want you to be able to see the difference, and that is I'm going to make 50% gray here. Maybe. And then I'm going to go from pure white here. I maybe left a little more space for that white than I needed. I'm striping them together on purpose so that they're both in the same place. Okay. You can choose to leave that paper breathing. This is all breathing and open, or you can choose to blend them. And the nice thing about this is you can sometimes keep working on top of it. When I'm working with charcoal, I use the side of the charcoal almost all the time. I don't draw like a crayon. Okay. So there's two forms of mark making. You can make open or rubbed in and blended. This one is going to start the same way. I had some charcoal. Luckily, this all erases easier, but now that we're getting into the charcoal's not as easy to take off. And it's not as easy to take off your skin. So I'm using this gray paper, but you can see that this part of the teapot is going to have to be darker than this gray paper. So this is going to look really ghosty to start. Oh, I drew big. Oh, I just drew those bigger. I drew lower. So remember, I'm checking, making sure the body of the teapot has two symmetrical sides. And then I'm looking at where does this come. The teapot spout is one of those things you guys suffer with. That's why I'm trying to give you some. So all I'm doing in my head is saying, where does that go to? So it goes right to the middle of this. So it's going right to the middle. I'm looking at like, where do those connect? There was this guy, an artist named Mondrian, and he made like all gridded paintings that look like aerial views of streets like Google Maps. And we call these the Mondrian lines, where we're just running invisible lines in our head up and down to see where things relate. Okay, so again, I'm lightening up, and this teapot because it's green is actually mostly the color of the paper is really similar here. But then I can switch over and I can start putting in the darker areas. Actually, I'm going to take that measuring line out so I don't drag it through the drawing. So you're going to see that drawing with that white chalk, a lot of times you're going to have white in a bunch of places. You don't want a bright white outline. You're going to go back in. You're going to go back in and you're going to erase away most of your initial drawing, but draw with the white first, always, and draw with the eraser first, because the black is going to be so much harder to get rid of if you put it in the wrong place. It's just going to be a lot more erasing. Okay, so, oh, sorry. So you see I'm using the side of the chalk. Sometimes when the chalk is brand new, so this is actually chalk from the earth. It comes out white. It's made of like calcium and stuff. And this is burnt material that is compressed together. There's two kinds of charcoal. One is called vine stick, and that is actually just grapevines that are burnt in a kiln, like a ceramics. And they become a piece of charcoal because all their water matter is burned away. And then this is compressed charcoal, and this is like any kind of industrial material they burn, wood or whatever. They take all the charcoal and they actually compress it into a hard charcoal stick. The vine stick is super light and airy and brushes right off the paper, which some people love, but it's also really hard to preserve the drawing. And then this compressed charcoal, it's going to be here on the paper longer than you're going to be alive. I promise. Okay? Even if it's in a trash dump somewhere. The charcoal not going anywhere. It's like pure carbon. So now I have the problem of having the light and dark get near each other, and I have to decide, do I want to mix them Or do I want to let this gray breathe and not have them touch each other quite as much? I'm all for letting the gray breathe, but you are baby artists and you should try it both ways in this drawing. You should try blending, rubbing, erasing, not blending. I'm big on airy charcoal where it can breathe through and we can see the paper, but I know you guys love to rub your drawings. And I've kept you from rubbing your drawings, but you can get in here and rub. And I've been encouraging a few people to try this. You guys can actually draw. You can draw with the dirty stump. So usually people will save one end of their stump for graphite and the other end of their stump for charcoal. Once you get charcoal on it, it's going to be useless in graphite drawings because it's going to make the paper dirty. Graphite and charcoal don't mix well because graphite scratches the paper and then the charcoal gets stuck, the dust gets stuck in the tracks. Okay. So this is possible to erase, and it can make some very nice marks. My chalk just went in the trash. It said, I'm done. I'm done. Chalk is off duty. So I'm just using the eraser to blend them. Works the same as the stump and picks up some. So you can see when you get those two together, it's really easy to make a mess of the, oh, by the way, we don't really want a bunch of charcoal dust on the bottom of our feet, on our tables and everything. So if you need to shake your drawing, go to the trash can and shake. Don't get charcoal dust all over the room. Okay. So there's more of the still life. I'm going to let you, for the black and white drawing, you can either pick the teapot or these three items for just the white on black. So if you want, this could be one vertical still life. Stay away from this right now. You don't have to draw this. This is a lot. Okay? For the black and white chalk, black charcoal on gray paper, you can also do the other half of the still life, whatever you didn't do. Did that make sense? I'm trying to split up your work so it goes faster. Okay? The point of making these drawings from a photo is to learn these materials so that when I put a teapot in front of you, you're able to start digesting and making a plan of how to get that drawn on the piece of paper, because 3D teapot is a whole different story. Okay? Does anybody have questions right now? Okay, so a lot of this, honestly, is if you're taking a college class and we are drawing figures, these are kind of the suggestions you might get during the first figure drawing class, is to start with a charcoal and to use the side of the charcoal. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Believe it or not, drawing a teapot is an awful lot like drawing a human being. It really is. It's got arms and legs and belly and everything, okay? So we're going to practice with this, and then I'm going to set up a still life. There's going to be 3 in the room, so you'll be able to clearly see one that we're going to work on next week, okay? So as soon as you finish your tone ground with graphite, I will walk by and I will say, yes, that's done. Okay, so you can show it to me and then you can come over and get black paper. Okay, so that's it.